Hey guys, Lee, FX Model Miniatures, back again, and slightly out of breath running round, trying to set this up, but the A-Wing's done. Save for the decals, which I'm not getting to at this time, I just can't be bothered. But yeah, anyway, excuse me, right, I was a bit disheartened yesterday. I mean, my own fault. With the misting, especially over the DH Caboose Red. It was too spackly, which is something I've got to learn in regards to how these paints behave in the air, especially when you're using misting techniques. So yeah, I put it to bed last night, slept on it, and thought, well, I'll readdress it in the morning. I'll do some tweaks. So what I did, off camera, I mixed up a really thin mix of DH Caboose Red, and I masked it all up again, and I started just gently, almost spritz and patch misting over the red, and it worked a treat. It killed all the spackle effect, but it still left that pattern across the white, which was then misted with the grime with the latex work. So yeah, it worked out okay. I redid a few panels here and there. Redid that rust one because it had been again heavily misted. Misted this red panel with rust, and then painted the guns. The guns are the same order of colours really. It's SP Dark Lark, Reefer White and DH Caboose Red for the cannon tips. Painted those, painted the canopy frames, painted the wee little man, so he's now in there. I used GN Grey Green for his flight suit, SP Dark Lark, Reefer White, bit of foundation on his face, came out okay. And yeah, I don't normally paint little figures like that. It was so fiddly, but I've got to tell you guys, this stuff brush paints like you wouldn't believe. It brush paints in superb fashion. I was really looking forward to. I don't do brush painting. I suck at it, but honestly, it was really fun to actually coat this pilot up in the acrylics. I was just dabbing a blob onto a piece of styrene and just working it around the brush into a point, and just it was brushing on beautifully and drying really quick. Really nice, really good flow across, and then it's dry and you can go over again. Wonderful. And the other thing I did some of the where I'd latex before and it had got heavily misted, so I decided to just reapply that, just some Reefer White chipping, just topically with an artist brush, which is again, it's adorned all over the model. It's on the model, so I've tried to keep it as accurate as I can, and these kind of little things here and on the canopy nose and that's all just topical application with a paintbrush, pretty much straight from the bottle, to be honest. So that worked out well. It was a challenge. It really is a challenge painting something this small. I mean, and let's face it, guys. I mean, this is a tiny model. I mean, in my hand, it's teeny. But painting something this small using primarily an airbrush, there's no hand applied washes, and really trying to paint it as if it were a studio miniature and trying to capture all those nuances of the studio miniature. Yeah, it's really, wow, it's a real challenge because of the scale. Yeah, it's quite tricky. Well, in fact, it's very tricky. It did test me. I'd have found it much easier on a larger model. But overall, yeah, pretty happy with how it's come out. It's like, sort of captured the feel of the miniature. I feel, you know, rather than using scale model techniques, using filming miniature painting techniques, you know, it can be done, but it's not an easy task. You know, it can be quite a challenge. I've done a few Y wings in the past, Bandai Y wings, and those, yeah, they're really a challenge. You know, they yeah, everything's so restrained and fiddly. Sometimes it's fun, but most of the times for me, it's not all that fun. But I just wanted to show how these paints are behaving, and they behave wonderfully. The only thing, let's get back to misting. I did some tests last night. I was deliberating how to get a better mist pattern through the airbrush. As I said, this paint behaves differently in the air than in than an enamel. So what I did, I just took some black styrene and misted grime just roughly straight over it. Now this here, see, it's still pretty speckly. That's around a 60-40, so that's 60% paint, 40% thinners, shot at 25 psi. It's lovely and smooth, but it's still too spackly for me, especially if you're working in a smaller scale. Like that on a studio scale model, fine, but I wanted a little bit more fidelity. I do like it a bit finer, and I'm also thinking I'm going to be painting, well, I am starting to paint ROTJY wings, which are around the 41-48 scale, so I just want a little bit more finer pattern than what's here. So what I did was I went and then mixed excuse me, a 40-60 mix, so about 40% paint, 60% thinners, and roughly shot that just over this black styrene, and I misted that at 30 psi. That for me was much better. So just a tip, guys. I mean, you guys that use acrylics have got this stuff down. I haven't. It's been so long since I've used acrylics and learning how they behave. There's not too much of an adjustment, but the paint does do different things where you don't expect it if you're more savvy with enamels. So yeah, you guys that are kind of cutting your teeth and getting into this, try a very looser mix if you're misting. Misting the D&H Caboose red this morning, that was thin, but it went on great. It went on. I made sure I did it quite patchy as well as it appears on the prop. But misting with grime, especially when it's landing over primary colours such as this red, you don't want it to spackle too much if you're painting small stuff like this. And obviously, guys created this paint for all models. You know, it's for everything, sci-fi, railroad, but with the Bandai guys in mind. You know, it's been designed around that sort of mode of building these smaller scale kits. So for your mist patterns, especially if you're using grime, reefer white, anything like that, try around a 40% to 60% mix, and that's 60% of thinners. Get it real thin, up your pressure. As I said, I tried 30 psi, and in the air that was really, you know, I could see as it was shooting past my lamp, I could see it was a very much finer mist, very much more what I'm used to seeing when I'm using my enamels. So yeah, 40, 60, 30 psi. Try it, test it on some dark styrene. I mean, that's a mistake I made yesterday as well. I went ahead and misted this, and I didn't test it initially as well, which I normally always do. You know, it was just a dumbass thing I did because I was doing it on camera, and you're never quite in the mode when you're on camera. It's really hard painting on camera, guys. So you'll have to just bear with me. But yeah, go for a 40-60, about 30 psi. Give it a test over some dark styrene, even some dark card, you know, just so you can see a contrast yourself to your eye, and then have at it. What I will say though, with that mixed at 30 psi, treat it with respect. Don't get in close. Yeah, you don't want to saturate, you don't want to wet. So give it at least maybe about 12 inches. That's what she said. But you know, 10 to 12 inches, and yeah, let that mist layer land. But treat it with respect at that viscosity, because if you get in too close, it's going to flood. Okay, but you know, not telling you guys how to suck eggs. Honestly, I'm really not. But yeah, just treat it with respect at that thickness. I think for studio scale models, I'd stick to still around 60-40, you know, the other way. And yeah, probably around, I'd probably keep it the same, about 30 psi. Seems to be the more pressure, the more it's going to you know, it's going to atomize it further. Airbrush washes, great. Honestly, great. You can thin this stuff down quite a lot, more than I thought you'd be able to, but you can thin it right down and get those spattery, spidery web effects. I mean, I did a few yesterday and some of them were a little too thin. So, yeah, it behaves wonderfully in that respect. So, airbrush washes, which is something that is all over every Star Wars model. You know, those spatter effects, those spattery spiderwebby streaks and those runs, they're on all filming miniatures. You know, they're really apparent if you're looking close. There's lots of it. With this paint, not a problem. I'm really impressed with that. That was one worry I did have, how it had behaved doing that, knowing I'm going to be painting these Y-wings. No worries there whatsoever. And now I think I'm kind of in a more happy medium in regards to the misting. But obviously, because I'm misting something that is extremely small, so obviously to get that sense of scale, it's really tricky. So yeah, I think I was expecting a little bit too much of myself yesterday, but I've managed to resolve it this morning, and everything seems to be hunky dory. Yeah. So anyway, guys, I hope that helps. I mean, any questions, please don't hesitate. You know, post some questions on YouTube, on the Archive X group. You know, ask away. I'm quite happy to answer any questions and give any advice from what I'm finding, without being condescending. You know, this, like I said, this is new to me, and I'm just trying to discover a way to use it. Excuse me, to the best effect. What else have we got going on? Oh yeah, have started getting the head sorted on the Pro Droid. The eyes are now bonded on. Got the top cap sorted. Still waiting on the pattern for the lower body, but the upper body I'm going to be starting soon. So this one I'll update very soon. I'm hoping to get some more work done on that. ROTJ Y-wings, yes, I'm going to be jumping on those probably later today, stroke tomorrow. And yeah, I think that's about it for now. So yeah, as I said, guys, I hope this was helpful. Anyone that wants to buy an A-wing, you know, let me know. It's on a nice display base. It's no good to me, but it just does. You know, just a simple little thing just to test these paints out on at more of its target audience, if you will. So I hope you guys enjoy, and looking forward to seeing what you all achieve with this product. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you all soon.